8 health left with on Empoleon, so
Yeah. All right. So weak to Lapras, so I guess the first thing would be maybe swapping out uh, Empoleon for Dragonair because he's using that. If he's running Lapras as a Dragon counter, he needs a Lapras counter, and aside from the fighting types, the next best option would be Dragonair,
Or
which
Bronzong,
or Bronzong, yeah,
which would also help shore up his Blaziken matchup.
and
yeah.
Altaria. Yeah. Um, if he doesn't want to do that, he could swap out Blaziken for, I guess, Charizard, which makes him a bit weaker to Bastiodon and Lapras, but you also have the option to hit Altaria with Dragon Claw.
So his question was what suggestions for an Empoleon replacement.
Yeah.
So let's assume that we're keeping the other 5 the same. What would we suggest you replace Empoleon with?
Bronzong would be first. Um, Dragonair maybe is second. And third, if you want to go kind of off meta, he can run Melmetal, but that's a steep investment, so I wouldn't recommend
Hello?
it.
I think it has to be something that beats Lapras if you're gonna substitute Empoleon.
Yeah,
Hello?
Melmetal doesn't do that.
Hello?
Hey, we can hear you. I'm gonna mute you for a second because your
Okay.
team isn't quite up yet.
Yeah, I think Bronzong, though, always makes a good pairing with Ice Shard Lap because it covers the Blaze and the Water Gun Lap matchups that Ice Shard now loses. So, I mean, I think that's a solid option.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. We
All
only
right, so I'm gonna unmute Hatred. His team is up next.
His team is the full shiny team, so he's running shiny Thundershock, Rock Slide, Thunderbolt, Melmetal, shiny Blastburn, Dragonclaw, Charizard, shiny Mudslap, Ancient Power, Avalanche, Mamoswine, shiny Standard Altaria, shiny Standard Marowak, and then shiny Dragon Breath, Aqua Tail, Dragon Pulse, Dragonair. So 2 questions for you right now. The first
Okay.
question is more of a joke question. Did you try to line up all 3 of your 1499 CP shinies on the bottom team?
No, I just they were just my highest CP at that time, so they're not, those aren't set up for actual like teams. It was just a picture of the 6 so I could get them all at once.
Right. So looking at your team right now,
Where's your shiny Lapras?
Don't have one yet. I wish.
well, you got another 9 days until Kingdom ends. Start
Yeah, I
grinding.
know. I've done as I live in Vegas, and the past 2 days, yesterday there was one task in the entire city, and today there was 2.
Yeah, there was only 1
So,
up here.
but yeah, my main lineup actually, I mean, it all depends. Like when I'm in the a cup, I'm like looking at the teams and seeing like who's gonna do well against what, and I'm trying to predict leads. I've noticed that Melmetal has actually been one of my best leads because people love to lead with Altaria or Lapras, especially Altaria. And what it can do is it can create the first switch where someone usually switches into a Lucario, and then I can either bring. I usually have Charizard or Altaria as my line for that, and then Mamoswine is really interesting because I don't recommend it. Um, it loses to like everything, but it's really weird because it actually can. If you use one shield, you can energy farm uh, Bastiodon of all Pokemon and fire off 2 charges on the next Pokemon that comes in, or you could just switch it right out and have the energy saved. I've won battles where I've energy farmed Bastiodon and then someone comes in with Lucario, and I just instantly switch out, and then at the end of the match, I end up hitting a Altaria with an avalanche, and it just one shots it at any HP it has. It's really interesting because it loses to like everything else though. It's like I wouldn't recommend it, but for my team, because I know how many people like. My only other option to deal with Bastiodon was Metagross, but it works completely different. Where Metagross beats Bastiodon by only using Earthquake. So the difference is you might use a shield with Mamoswine, but you have a bunch of energy saved up. Whereas if Metagross takes out the Bastiodon, you're pretty much out of energy. That's one of the main reasons why I went with Mamoswine over Metagross. But Metagross actually wins more matchups. I wouldn't really recommend either though if people are just trying to play normally.
What would you do against a Lapras threat though? This team.
Lapras. My main Pokemon for Lapras is Melmetal.
But
I usually
but you know that it doesn't beat it all the time, right?
Yeah, like I said, usually my Melmetal is my lead, and as a lead, if Lapras is a lead, it can win, and other than that, there's a bunch of times where I get energy saved up because one thing people don't realize is if your Melmetal is against the Bastiodon, you can charge up your moves before you switch out, and given actual correct right shield amount, like I won a match one time because all I had left was Melmetal, but it had complete HP and 2 shields left, and the Bastiodon had full HP but 0 shields, and the Thundershocks just take it down. But what I usually do is if I'll just charge energy and get out of there, and maybe like try to save it for because if there's no shields, Thundershock can actually do more damage than Rock Slide against a Lapras. So it all depends. I mean, it's my lineup. It's tough to play with because you really have to get your predictions right correctly. Like winning your lead is really important with my team.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I see Lapras as a big problem because you have Charizard, Mamoswine, Altaria, Marowak, and Dragonair all weak to it, and then Melmetal only wins in fringe.
It does
matchups,
depend.
So
it does depend.
Yeah,
it does depend on if that Lapras has legacy moves because I mean I'm in the middle of one of my remote cups, and my last I'm currently waiting for round 3 to start. In my last round, my Altaria was my Lapras counter because he only had Water Gun, Surf.
Yeah.
He did not have an Ice Beam, and
it
has no
that's
shot.
true in some situations, but you have to sort of plan for the worst.
I do remember from my Tempest Cup practice in cups that if the Lapras does have Water Gun, then with even health and even shielding, then the Altaria will come out on top because it can get to its Sky Attack before a Ice Beam. So I mean,
in a neutral situation, when you lead Lapras against an Altaria, this has been simmed out pretty extensively. Lapras doesn't even need to shield bait. He can get 2 Ice Beams, and that's enough to beat Altaria. There's situations where Altaria might be able to come on top. The reality is your team is quite weak to Lapras. Lapras has the potential to do a significant amount of damage, unless you're talking about them switching out.
You're gonna struggle with that Altaria Lapras Lucario.
Yeah.
Yep. But pretty much you just have Dragonair for lead lap and Melmetal for late lap, or like no shields lap. That's
I don't know. It's been weird. I've actually been having success, which is I don't know. I mean, I wish I had my phone. I have an iPhone 6s. It's got like no storage on it, and I can't really screen record. Like most of my matches, I try to screen record. In the middle of a match, it will come up like a notification will come up where like the screen record just stopped or like got deleted. So I just stopped even trying that until I get a new one. But I wish I want to show because a fully charged up Melmetal does a lot depending on like if Lucario doesn't have a shield, a Thunderbolt will do like 75% or maybe even more of its health. I've seen that happen. It's I don't know. I mean, I don't recommend my team. I do it because I only battle with shinies, and that's my game style. That's the way I want to play. Like I have around I think 30 something shinies with their double move set at max potential for Great League. I'm much more confident in my next month's cup. And last month's cup, I had a pretty solid shiny team as well. I won the only cup I did for Tempest. I'm in I'm 1-1 right now in my remote cup, and I'm waiting for it. And then I also have a live cup I'm going to next week. My team still can change if I can get a Lapras or. Yeah, pretty much if I can get a Lapras, it could change.
We're gonna skip ahead to one last team real quick. So that's Brady's team with Bronzong, Altaria, Dragonair, Charizard, Lucario, and Steelix.
Yep. So he's using Dragonair as sort of the substitute for the Lapras core. Dragonair's been functioning very similarly to Lapras in that sense. I think you just have to be very comfortable switching in Dragonair, because he does quite well, doing that.
Hey, can
As
you
opposed to
mute
Lap.
me?
Sure.
I don't know how to mute myself. Thanks.
Another thing, though, is that team looks very weak to Alolan Marowak.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
you're right.
3-3 split, right? I assume Dragonair beats a right?
Let me double check that. I'm not 100% sure.
Because Altaria and Steelix split. Obviously, Alolan Marowak does beat Bronzong, Charizard, and Lucario. But it seems like it's like a 3 split, so it's not too bad.
Okay, they trade at 0 shields. Dragonair wins at 1, Marowak wins at 2.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
that sounds about right.
well, it's also because you go for the Shadow Ball nuke, or you go for the Bone Club shield bait, or you go for the Bone Club shield bait twice for the Shadow Ball kill. Whereas Dragonair's option is really Aqua Tail and just smack you with Dragon Breath. Altaria actually, yeah, Altaria beats it, which is kind of to be expected. But
it's not as bad as one would think, because Dragon Breath is doing a lot of super effective stab damage in the process. So Altaria can't just like straight up farm Dragonair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Basti's going to be a little bit of a problem, but not too bad. Because he still has Lucario and Steelix. And then Dragonair does reasonably well too.
I mean, Bast beats Dragonair at 0 and 2 shields and barely loses at 1. Dragonair is left with 11 out of 124 HP at 1 shield each. It's just that Smackdown does so much to it that even with getting off 3 Aqua Tails, which is what Dragonair does, it's only able to be Basti done.
And then another one, Steelix, because Steelix will beat Dragonair, which most people don't realize, and is also able to beat Altaria and Bronzong. But he still has the Charizard and the Lucario to deal with Steelix, so
Yeah,
not too bad.
and then in the mirror, it's basically a race to Earthquake.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this team is more centered around countering dragons than anything. Because he has 2 dragon counters in Altaria and Dragonair, and then 2 more checks in Charizard and Steelix. Well, 3, I guess, if you count Bronzong versus Altaria in that matchup.
I think this is a pretty solid team, actually.
Yeah.
It's one of the better ones I think you can make if you're running it without Lapras and without Bastiodon.
Yeah, he's got the budget concerns, so I remember giving him some advice. But I'll scrim with you a little bit later, and I'll try to show you what I'm talking about with Dragonair. When you're able to switch in Dragonair a lot on an unfavorable matchup, it does a lot more work than you think. It has very similar matchups to Lapras, but it's really just spamming Aqua Tail most of the time, and every now and then you're going to be using Dragon Pulse.
So
So that's
your
what it
point
comes
is it's a pretty good safe switch.
Yeah, it's almost like a risky switch in the sense that, yeah, it does get countered by a lot of things, of course, a few different things. But even those things, it's going to do quite a bit of damage in the process. And people aren't as familiar with the Dragonair matchup. So
Right.
that happened to me. Like, I didn't know Steelix was a really good counter to Dragonair until I
Right.
started sending it after, losing a few scrim matches with someone who is using Dragonair really, really well. So,
Yeah. So that's kind of cool though because it gives him, in general, both Dragonair and Bronzong as potential safe switches, where
yes,
they might lose, but they're not going to lose by a ton.
right.
So it's kind of nice to have like two potential backup plans you can run one or the other or both. So there's some flexibility there.
Yeah. I would think that a team running Marowak and Steelix would give him trouble. Because Marowak serves as the sort of safe switch against Bronzong, and so does Steelix. And then Steelix does well against, well,
The entire top row.
the top three. Yeah, so. But it's
Yeah,
not like he doesn't have options against them. So.
Yeah, I think he generally has his bases covered. Obviously, like any team, there's some things are a little weaker to, but I don't think there's any of the main meta mons that he doesn't have at least one or two answers to. So,
Yep.
I think overall,
Agreed.
it's a pretty well balanced team.
Solid. Yep.
Yep.
I agree.
Alright, so
Awesome.
now that we have all 8 Kingdom teams done, unless there are more team submissions for Kingdom, I think that'll wrap up our
No,
Kingdom.
that's the end of the stream. That's all we have.
No, I mean
Yeah.
from now until the end of the month.
Oh, yeah.
Unless we get some more, that'll be it for Kingdom. We'll be shifting our focus to Nightmare. And whenever Sylph decides to drop their regional tournament update, we'll cover that as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
As always, thanks for joining us, and we will put out a message when our next live stream will be.